A cup of tea like Steve.
Go on then.
A cup of tea. A cup of tea like Steve.
Go on tonight.
There you go.
Cheers.
Don't say I didn't give you a note. Will you calm down and all? Friday night, man.
Friday night, doing it right.
Doing it right.
Welcome back to Filta. I'm Steve.
I'm Conor Benn.
No.
Pass us some of them drugs, will you?
I forgot my line there.
Right, line.
Tell
them about the thing we're doing this week.
So we've been doing a bit of research over the weekend there, guys, about how to monetize the show, and apparently you cannot swear. So I reckon we've been getting buried at the depths of YouTube because we're swearing the first few seconds. We kind of knew that now, didn't we? But we just didn't really make an effort. It's funny because in the first few episodes, if you go back, we used to like peel the labels off the beer and that, thinking we were going to keep taken down by the beer companies and that. And we used to try our best not to swear. And a few episodes in, we just thought,
what did we think? Yeah, it's hard not to swear.
Stuff it. And we'll
guys.
We'll just go with the flow. Right, we're going to make a conscious effort not to swear, so we'll see how that goes.
What do you reckon? First one to swear puts a tenner in the jaw. What do you reckon?
Right.
And then at Christmas, whoever's got the most tenners gets it all. Christmas, what do you reckon?
Aye. There'll be a fortune in there.
Wait, it's only 12
There'll
weeks.
be a small fortune.
There's only 12 weeks till Christmas.
12 shows.
Aye. But not only can you not do that whole monetized thing, it's the whole thing about I was watching that Mr. Beast on what I watch him on. He was not Joe Rogan, that Flagrant
YouTube.
Aye, Flagrant. And he was basically. It looks like we've been doing a pretty good job of burying ourselves in the depths of YouTube, haven't we, Steve?
Aye, if that was the goal, then we've succeeded.
Aye. So we've really done well there.
Anyway, we'll see how we're going, eh?
What about Conor Benn?
Aye. Just read there. This just in, guys. The fight's been cancelled on it because he's been caught doping the lad.
Hey, you win.
But I saw when it first came out and there was a trace of some steroid or whatever in his blood. He was doing some interview and he says, "Oh, I've reached out to Eubank this morning. I spoke to him on the phone. He still wants to fight to go ahead. He knows that I'm not knows I'm a clean athlete and all that, and we don't know how this trace has got into his system." But
I was telling you, Chris Eubank come on and says I've never heard nothing from him.
Aye.
So you reckon he made that thing up there?
He was starting a load of
glitter.
Aye. And
a load of Gary glitter.
But then
hey.
But you've got to think though, he obviously knows fine well he's going to get loads of drug tests, so you wouldn't just blatantly take illegal substances. So that makes you think, well, maybe it was an accident somehow.
But apparently he volunteered for the drug test.
Exactly. So then why would he do that if he knew he'd been taking steroids?
You wouldn't take loads of drugs then till you sell a drug test, would you?
You just flip out.
You would, mate. That would be the behaviour of someone who had flipped out.
So maybe he was taking one that he thought would not be detected. I don't know. They might be quite sophisticated with these drugs these days.
Now, what he should have done, he should have identified himself as a lass. Says, "Oh, I attack that. Anyway, attack that drug."
But then he wouldn't be in the fight because it's got to be a bloke to fight a bloke, haven't you?
Not necessarily.
But
not Lawrence Hubbard.
We'll give you updates as the story unfolds, guys. Stay tuned. But anyway, the main theme of today's show is before we jump on the bandwagon with the whole Jeffrey Dahmer series that's been on YouTube, on our Netflix.
Oh, you watched it, like?
Aye.
No.
This is going to be
I got given an assignment, didn't we, on Sunday night. He says I had to watch it.
Another thing we thought we'd do, as well as the not swearing, we thought, let's talk about topics that are trending.
Aye.
And it might make the video fly through the roof.
Aye. Because last week, you know what happened? We did an episode about the Great Reset. We got banned off Instagram. We've been banned, you know. They tried to stop the guys.
And it was the video done alright on YouTube.
It did, I
got more than triple what we normally get.
I know. So we mentioned a couple of times on Instagram about the Great Reset. Next thing we're getting this message. You're now banned for 7 days. I was thinking, aye, that's
what you're gonna say.
Aye.
It's hard, when your vocabulary is 99% swear words.
I know. Hey, we're doing well, yeah. 1 minute.
But the Jeffrey Dahmer's been a hot topic, hasn't it? Obviously, if you've been living under a rock, Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer, also known as the Milwaukee Cannibal.
Was his middle name Lionel after his dad?
I must be. I should have Wikipedia this, guys. Also known as the Milwaukee Cannibal. or the Milwaukee Monster, was an American serial killer and sex offender who committed the murder and dismemberment of 17 men and boys between 1978 and 1991. And he also used to like chop heads off and eat them and do all sorts of foul stuff, didn't he?
Did what he wanted, didn't he?
Aye, so
did what he wanted, that guy.
So I knew a bit about Dahmer already, just of watching, you know, these documentaries over the years and stuff like that. And so like I wasn't really loads in the show that was kind of new to us. There was a few things I didn't know, but I was kind of intrigued to see how they did it. And it's mad because like just I've seen little bits of documentaries over the years and that, like the apartment was exactly how I thought it would look and stuff.
Is it right?
Aye, and they've done a good job. Like the actor was pretty good at playing him. And but yeah, so let's get stuck in. Do you think this kind of series, or do you think this particular series like glorified him in a way? Like everyone's like going on about Jeffrey Dahmer now, like he's trending again, like he's some sort of celebrity and all that. Do you think it kind of glorifies that sort of shit? And people are kind of obsessed with serial killers and shit.
I know, aye. Wait, now what it is like? What?
No, carry on.
You're gonna say something?
No. Go on.
Did I swear that?
No.
I wait. You know what it is? Like, it was annoying me toward the end because I didn't feel like I hated him enough for what he actually did.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was meant because I've watched interviews with him since then.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, it's exactly like him.
Aye.
But I don't know if it was just like the first episode which he's been like dead creepy and all that. Like, and it's horrible. And I thought, I don't know if I'm gonna carry on watching this. But I think that's the most the worst bit of the whole series, isn't it?
Yeah, aye.
And then it doesn't really go anywhere from there.
Yeah, well, I think when I've watched bits of like YouTube and that, they were saying they didn't want to make it about, you know, depicting the murders in a quite gruesome way because, like, obviously it's implied and there's a couple of like, you know, graphic scenes and that, but they didn't want it to be all about that, just episode after episode of them just chopping people up and stuff. So it was meant to be more about like the failure of the police in the whole how the police didn't really pay much attention to the black community, and also because they were homosexuals, they didn't want to go in the apartment, and so they didn't really like care that much.
AIDS thing at the time.
Aye. So it was meant to kind of shine a light on that a bit.
Yes.
But what was I gonna say? But what you were saying about like you didn't necessarily hate him that much. That was the interesting thing with Jeffrey Dahmer. Even before I seen this series, was like when you watch his interviews, he does just seem like a normal bloke, and like a lot of these serial killers are quite charming, intelligent, like normal members of society who you would never suspect. You'd think a serial killer would be some kind of monster, some hideous freak who lives under a bridge or something.
He lives in between a rock or a hard
place. But it's just like, that's what's mad about it. It could just be your everyday guy.
Aye.
He's got these skeletons and he's...
But then that last episode, you've watched it, haven't you, the end one? John Wayne Gacy.
Aye.
He put the willies right up, mate, Steve.
You know what it is?
With that clown suit on.
Spoiler alert here, guys, if you've not watched the show yet, but on the very start of the last episode, it's like a full scene of John Wayne Gacy doing what he does when he's dressed as a clown and all that.
He's awful, him, mate.
And then it kind of flashes, because that's like in the 70s when it happened, and it goes back to like the 90s when Dahmer's in prison and all that. And it's like he's watching him on the news and stuff, and he's kind of, people are asking him about like the parallels between them and that. But like one thing you've got to give credit to Dahmer for is that with that John Wayne Gacy, when he had 33 bodies in his crawl space in his house, right? He used to like lure in like young teenage boys and all that, drug them and like rape them.
Oh, did he?
Aye, but he used to like. First of all, Dahmer would try and sedate them and do stuff, and wouldn't try. He would do it so he would try and kill them and then do it so he wouldn't try to hurt them. Where this bloke used to like proper do nasty things and like hurt them and that. Whereas Dahmer didn't necessarily want to hurt them; he just wanted to kill them, but without as little pain as possible, and then do what he wanted to do. But after Dahmer was caught, he just went, right, that's it, I'll tell you everything you want to know, went into detail exactly what he did and about his childhood and everything, and where he even said where all the bodies were and that, so the families could have like closure. John Wayne Gacy, till the day he died, denied everything. He said he admitted to 1 or 2 killings, but he said it was in self-defense. Self-defense, he had 33 bodies under his house, and then he was trying to say it was nothing to do, and up until like the day he died, he denied it and that. So at least like Dahmer had the balls to say, I did do it, and I feel bad about it and all that. And I'm like sick.
Aye.
So that John Wayne Gacy is a coward, I think. Like, well, not that Dahmer's any better really, but you know, at least he had the balls to say, I did it. But you know what proper freaked me out? And I thought this must have been something that was just made up for the show, but I actually Googled it and it actually happened.
The death thing and the baptism on the same day.
John Wayne Gacy, the day he got the needle and got put down, was the same day Jeffrey Dahmer got baptised, and that was a fully, like a solar eclipse
mad,
outside. I was like, that can't be real, that's got to be made up. And I Googled it, and it was actually true.
It's mad,
and the news were calling it at the time, there was like news articles from the time calling it the Trifecta of Evil.
How's an eclipse evil, like?
Just because it's like, I don't know, it's just
the
like...
daylight's blocked.
We had home and I, so the moon's blocking the sun, so it goes dark. At the same time, Dahmer's baptised and Gacy's killed. It makes you think, is that actual like evil presence in the world? Like, is that like the devil actually at work?
Oh, aye.
It's mental, lad, isn't it?
Well, I got chills there.
Isn't it weird?
Aye.
It makes you think, is that just a mad coincidence? It's all them three things happening at the same time.
Well, that's one of my notes took off the list.
What was it?
Aye. Got some notes for the show today, guys. Speaking of that, you got any thoughts for the programme?
We're going to get pushed on YouTube with that kind of behaviour.
Well, aye.
Surprised he's not swore yet.
You said you had a thought for the programme?
That's a swear word, that.
Well, aye, balls is.
That is. Anyway, we'll press on. I've got a few more pressing questions about this show. We'll press on, guys. So the series kind of points to his childhood and his family life and his parents being to blame. So, like, you know, his parents were always arguing, his mum was quite distant, his mum was on, like, a lot of antidepressants and other drugs and stuff, and when she was pregnant, she was on drugs and all that, and then his dad was helping him chop up, like, dogs and all that in the garage when he was a kid, or roadkill. So the show kind of points towards all that being to blame, but with the Jeffrey Dahmer interviews, I don't know if you've seen, but he always says they're not to blame. He says, yes, the parents used to argue, and that was somehow why he was left alone when he was 16, but, he says, I was already like that before that anyway. Like, he says, I've had these thoughts since I was like 4-year-old and that. So it's not society, it's not the pornography, it's not your parents. He says, the only person to blame is me.
The person to blame is sitting right across from you. That's the only person. Not parents, not society, not pornography. I mean, those are just excuses.
It says, my childhood wasn't that bad. So that's why I was kind of surprised when it kind of pointed loads of fingers towards the dad in the show, didn't it?
Aye.
What's your thoughts on that?
On my thoughts?
Do you reckon it was his childhood and all that? I reckon he was quite a social kid.
Because there's always that question, isn't it? Was it nature or was it nurture?
Hey, what a question.
I don't know. I don't know, guys.
Maybe a bit of both.
But it's a chance to have been a bit of both.
But the first ever thing was when he was 4-year-old and his dad was sweeping some like bones in the garden or something, and he loved like the sound of the bones. He said, "Oh, can I play with them?" And he started playing with the bones and that. And
he said they were like fiddlesticks.
And
then he chucked them up in the air and he started playing fiddlestick. What's fiddlesticks like?
I don't know.
I don't know. Something like that.
See that board game he made, man?
Board game?
Aye, with the little bones.
Must have fell asleep for that piece.
Oh, he was playing the board game of his death victim.
Was he?
And he made this board game where it's like two big swirls. One starts at this end, one starts at this end. And the players were like bones, and then you roll the dice and you just go towards the middle, and whoever gets to the middle first wins, right? If your player lands on the other player, he just does that and just goes, just throws your players across the room and says, "That's it, you're into the abyss or something."
You meant the vortex?
Aye, the vortex.
Is that that's what he rang up the wife and says?
Aye,
the family. That was sick. That, you know. Nowadays, that's what,
and that's when he killed the deaf one. They played that board game. He went, right, that's it. You're into the vortex, and that was kind of foreshadowing for what he was about to do to him.
What does that even mean, the vortex?
Just.
Do you know what? I felt really sorry for the Dahmer because he obviously goes on after that, and he obviously must get remarried, and then he has Brennan and Dale, and you just think. He's had Jeffrey. Do you know what I mean, though?
Aye.
And then them two, what were them two hotheads? I'm surprised he's still gone. I didn't make the connection between them three, like. As if he had them and then Brennan.
I know, aye.
What a film that is, those Step Brothers.
Now it is, though, there was parts where I couldn't take the dad seriously because
of Step Brothers and that.
Aye. There was a bit where he was like screaming at his ex-wife, and I was just creasing because it reminded us of Step Brothers when he's screaming at them two idiots.
I know, yeah, it's great, that, isn't it?
Oh, it's a hell of a film, that.
There was I looked at some comparisons from the programme though. What we got? Do you know the whole thing about wearing them contact lenses? That was real, you know. In one of the scenes, he puts his yellow contacts in, and he's like, "Oh, do you like me? Do you like my eyes?" To the bloke. But he actually used to do that because
he liked a parody.
It was funny. Now he made a comparison to me and Jeffrey Dahmer, and I took one look at you. And you didn't have to not. Oh yeah.
Why do you do it, Jeffrey? Oh, I don't know. I just like the parody.
Oh, yeah. When did he say that, eh?
That was two different lines. I just mixed them together.
His favourite characters was the Exorcist. Who was it?
Exorcist
The
3,
Gemini killer from The Exorcist 3 and Star Wars.
Darth Vader.
No, it was the Emperor from Star Wars, Episode 3.
He was like the bad guys.
Aye, and
Isn't that weird? That was Exorcist 3
them.
and Star Wars Episode 3.
Aye.
That's got some...
Star Wars Episode 3, Return of the Jedi.
Exorcist 3 as well, wasn't it?
Aye.
Mm.
And then who we got? So you know the bloke that Dean Vaughan, he moves in, and then the wife next door sees them talking and all that, and then he's never seen again.
Aye.
Well, that kind of happened, but Jeffrey says that he never killed him, and he always pleaded not guilty for that one. But that bloke was found strangled in his apartment. So that actually happened. That thing, aye.
That.
But Jeff, because he was never, on the 17 that he killed at the end, never come up on that.
Aye.
And then he was actually found dead.
Well, that's probably the truth then, because if he was going to admit all these killings, why would he not admit to another one?
Aye. The wife who lived next door, what was she called?
By the way, she was great, that actress, the lad who plays Jeffrey Dahmer got a lot of credit, which he did do a great job, but she did a mint job as well, the neighbour.
Aye, she definitely did. Right, the wife who lived next door, that Glenda Cleveland, right, she was actually a real character, but she never lived next door, she lived in the building next to it, and she was the one that found, do you know the young lad? Have you actually seen the real photos of that young lad when the police actually took him back?
No.
The programme, he looks he could be younger than 18. On his photographs in real life, he was definitely a young'un, like. But anyway, that Glenda Cleveland was the one that found him and reported it to the police and all that, and was kicking off that they were just bringing him back. But the wife who lived next door, she lived over the corridor. They based the character in the programme
so they kind of mixed
on them two, and she actually did take meat off him and ate it.
Oh, Jesus.
He used to give that meat.
Oh, that's ill.
Because you seen that scene where he's saying, eat the sandwich.
Eat the sandwich.
She doesn't want it, man. It's awful, but the one across the hallway, she actually took
that
the
lad,
meat.
when if you've not seen it, I'd have narrated you had this 14-year-old drugged in his apartment and he was trying to eat God knows what, and he actually drilled a hole into his head.
That's what he did to him.
Aye, the show implies it. You see him with the drill and the lads in the bed all drugged, and you just see him going zzz. But if you read it, he actually drilled into his head and he was trying to put the poison straight into his brain. And
to do what?
Just to sedate him. He tried to make zombies, wasn't he? So he had full control over them. So
that's what his game was.
They weren't dead, but he wanted zombies, so he just had full control and do whatever he wanted. So he's trying to experiment. And one way or another, he got out and he ran into the street or whatever, but he was obviously full of drugs. I think Jeffrey went to get some cigarettes or something, didn't he? And
just while this bloke was drugged up to the hilt.
He was bleeding, had a hole in his head, couldn't speak, he was a child, and he was sitting outside naked and all that. And obviously the police came and everything, and the police just went, it's just a gay couple having a bit of a tiff, and let him go back in, then he killed him.
But that some tiff that.
Mental. But that's just that's what the show's trying to point out is kind of underprivileged communities, how they weren't heard after all the times calling them. And did you see in the show as well, right? So these killings in this apartment went on for a year, with this woman ringing the police and all that, and loads of but the police just didn't really bother to do anything about it. And there was another lad who went to the police as well that time when he was in the grandma's house. And the grandma came up, so the police were aware of him. He had a criminal record for sexual deviant behaviour, you want to call it. And then they never did out until it was too late, and then eventually got him. But then when there was them kids outside just taking photos because it was all where Jeffrey Dahmer lived, and the lass held the camera out of his hand and smashed it. The police were straight round and banged it up.
I know it was.
Do you know what I mean? But the serial killer was there for a year. He having saws and screams and smells coming from his house, and they knew that he was a convicted maniac already. They knew nothing about it. But then a black lass smashes someone's camera out of his hand and just
done for assault.
Straight about the police car.
Aye, for assault.
It's shocking, you know.
I know
it's
it is,
mental. It makes you sick.
I was wondering, do you reckon the grandma knew something about it?
Maybe I.
Who? I think I would not. We obviously have our bedrooms upstairs. If you were chopping someone up doing here, I'd know. I know. I think I'd know very well what's going on.
Smell from your bedroom. That's like the parody.
We've just had some meat that's went off.
Use that excuse every time, didn't he?
Neighbour walking.
Well, yeah, I think she was just naive. She didn't want to believe it. she probably knew it deep down, but she just didn't want to like confront it in case it was true, kind of thing.
Aye.
But the families of the victims and other people who were depicted in the show, like we've just been discussing there, guys, weren't notified or asked for permission to use the likeness and story as it's classed as public record. Do you think that's right, or do you think that's wrong? Because these people who actually were there went through it. This is entertainment for a lot of people, but that was their life.
I know.
They actually lived through that. Now they're
still alive as well.
Now it's trending all over the internet and all that. People are talking about it everywhere, and they happen to relive it all again.
Aye.
So, do you think that's a bit...
I do think they shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
Most definitely so.
We've changed the names and, like, you know, changed a few details, but
they even used her actual footage of, actual audio of her in the police.
The audio, the police tape.
Could you made it any more clear, by the way? I thought that must have been acted.
I've heard the actual tape on YouTube, and they've just somehow cleaned it up because it sounds grainy on the internet.
Aye, but it said actual footage, audio, so it was that.
They must have somehow like just cleaned up
the
audio a bit. But even like the court scenes when they're doing the witness, not the witness statements, but the victim impact statements or something like that. And like if you watch, like there was a video on YouTube where you've got like the real ones against the Netflix one, and they're exactly the same, word for word. The people look exactly the same.
Put the one where she hands off it, didn't you?
Aye, I'll put it in, yeah. Take it away.
I don't even need a microphone. My name is Rita Isbell.
No, ma'am. You'll address the court from...
My name is Rita Isbell, and I'm the oldest sister of Errol Lindsay. Whatever your name is, Satan. I'm mad. This is how you act when you are out of control. I don't want to ever see my mother have to go through this again. Never, Jeffrey. Jeffrey, I hate you, mother. Jeffrey, I kill you. God damn it. Look at me, motherfucker. I can kill you.
Court's in recess.
I can kill you. You don't have to do it.
We'll not get taken down off YouTube, will we? For copyright.
I don't know.
Copyright claim.
Hi. Copyright.
We'll just put a video of Bootsy dressed up, Dana.
Right, I think that you can. Oh,
$10 in the jar.
I'll put the $10 in. Hey, what was I going to say?
Hey, we've done kind of well though. How long are we in?
Beep it though, because we want to do an episode without the obligatories. 20 minutes.
Stop swearing because it's more bloody time on the edit and that.
There's another swear word, you. Let's beep that out.
Did I swear?
Bloody, aye. That'll have to be
a swear.
Is it not?
What are we giddy?
Giddy, bloody, gay, okay. Yeah. I've just got something to say. Trying to get the views up on the YouTube. So I've wrote down this tip, right? Got to say this. If this was useful to you, would you quickly just smash that like button? It's just there. What do you reckon? 2 more views for that?
Why aye?
I reckon I got them in there, like.
I've got 2 more questions on my list.
I'll fire away again.
So do you think murder documentaries and these kinds of shows put lives at risk?
Put lives at risk? Because
like give people ideas. Like there could be some future serial killer sitting watching all this Netflix stuff and this Dahmer series thinking, oh, that looks pretty cool, like. And it goes in that much detail where it shows you the drug that he used to like state them. Some might think, oh, that would be a good idea. Some like maniac out there somewhere, maybe, oh, I might try that.
Do you know what's mad?
It's dangerous.
100% I do, aye. But do you know what's mad? Where's all the serial killers these days? I've never heard of one, me. In my lifetime, have you?
Don't think so, no.
In my 20 years of life. But when was the last time I heard a serial killer? Who? I can't remember one, me.
Nah.
And why? Because the missing list still goes up and up and up. Like, the missing list goes up every year. It doesn't go down.
I think...
Who's these serial killers?
Usually a serial killer, it'll be like all in one small area. So imagine if like people around this estate started like disappearing for like a year every other week. There was one time where when he first moved into that apartment block, I'm sure I already killed like 7 people in a week. So imagine like 7
people in a week, something
like that, or maybe 5 or something was a lot. But imagine so if it all started happening in a local area, people going missing. That's when they think, right, we've got a serial killer. If it's like spaced out, they might just think it's random incidents and that.
Nah, but yeah, man.
But you'd think that what you call it, the like technology and the forensics and all that has came on so far since like the 70s with Joe and Gacy and the 90s and 80s with Dahmer, that it's probably a lot harder for them now. Like, you will get caught straight away. Like, CCTV everywhere, like forensic science and all that, like your iPhones and that, you pinged everywhere you can.
You reckon they're just better at catching people, like, or do you reckon they're...
Or maybe they're just catching them early,
serial killer?
Maybe, so maybe, you know, the system's actually...
scares the wick out of me. It does, you know.
Listen about 10 on the jaw.
What for?
Did you have any more points on Dahmer?
I did. One point. Do you know what was a bit weird? I thought, like, so in the show that he's constantly wearing his glasses and all, like, he's always got his glasses on. But what happened in real life when he was in the courtroom at the end there, he wouldn't wear his glasses, and he says because he didn't want to look any of his victims' families in the eye. What does that show?
Cowardice. What do you mean for the show? I thought you meant for him in real life. Like that.
No. What does that mean to him? I thought
a
coward.
Didn't want to look at them in the face.
What's the word when you feel bad?
Shame, guilt, remorse.
It's a weird one,
sorrow.
Isn't it? What's empathy mean?
Empathy is like, well, yeah, that could be a good one. That's probably a good one. So
it's not like a psychopath to show empathy, is it?
Empathy is kind of putting yourself in someone else's shoes and understand what they're going through.
That bloke that killed him and all, he was stone wild. Him, and I read something about him, and he was listening to God. Him.
Yeah, I was. I actually looked up. You know, the bloke who actually got away without him getting caught. The episode 1 where he comes in the flat, he's like, oh, it stinks, and he ends up getting away, and he's running down the street, and he gets the police back, and they find the photos. That's how he gets caught. But I looked up that bloke in real life now, and he went on to a life of drugs and drink after that. You know.
Oh no.
He's in prison himself now.
No way, because of that probably.
His life just went downhill after that. Everyone's life, like loads of people who were like attached to that case, their lives just went into turmoil. But imagine, like, even like living in the flat after like you even got caught, but knowing that that's what was going on in your block of flats, you would have nightmares thinking he's gonna come back, wouldn't you?
Is that why they were all living in the corridor?
I don't sleep in the corridor because of all this like
scared
trauma. I don't know.
Ooh.
All that PTSD, so they felt safe had to get around that. Do you think he was racist? Because out of his 17 victims, only 2 of them were white, and the rest were. A lot of them were black, and I think Indian American, Asian, and Hispanic, wasn't it?
I don't know.
And they try to say it was racially motivated. But when you watch his interviews, he says that it wasn't racially motivated. He says it was just the lads that he fancied.
Aye.
But that's just the area he lived in was obviously there's a lot of more different races around in that.
Aye.
So yeah.
But then did he move into that area specifically because he knew that he was going to get away with it?
Well, his first 2 victims were white.
We just don't know, guys.
That, like, he's just an opportunistic killer, so he would just probably, whatever he could get his hands on kind of thing. You know, I didn't think he was that picky, do you know what I mean? Just like whoever he could seduce or whatever it was.
He got his head punched through, didn't he?
Oh, aye.
Yeah, so we'll never know the real answers to this. I wonder what would have happened if he had carried on with his life of God. He didn't get much chance, did he? He'd only just found God then, and someone put a 10 plate through his head.
I know.
He might have been a pretty stand-up guy.
You know what I didn't get? Why his dad didn't want the brain to go to science. Like, why wouldn't you want them to study it and like find out ways to look for signs and things that might prevent future people doing it?
Someone would have gotten a hold of that by now, and they would have been. Didn't someone have their ashes put into a forehead or something?
I don't know.
Or was that not Marilyn Manson or something?
Marilyn Manson, and I'll blow a little of him next
time.
Man,
you know, they've got a tattoo with his.
I know Marilyn Manson had a swastika on his forehead.
Did he?
We're thinking of someone else. Charlie Manson, I mean Marilyn Manson. Charles Manson.
Aye.
He was a maniac. He used to pump people full of LSD in Hollywood and then have orgies and kill them and that.
Why?
That's a film about him.
So he's still alive?
That Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Didn't he kill someone famous?
I think so, aye.
So stop this and giddy.
Aye, cut.
Was that you?
I think that pretty wraps up the whole...
pretty wraps it up, did it?
Pretty much wraps up the Dahmer bit. Like.
Ooh! Aye, great, aye. Hey, so if that was useful to you guys, you just mind pressing that like button, smashing that subscribe.
I see that...
That's meant to get views, that.
You know, a few episodes ago, does it actually?
That's what I reckon. You meant to draw the viewer into to think that they've done something for them. We'll keep that between me and you. Didn't tell the guys.
You know, a few episodes ago, I had the Hunter Biden laptop thing where...
Oh, what's he doing now, the guy?
Biden,
He's went quiet, actually.
This is President Joe Biden's son had his laptop seized, and he had loads of indecent images, videos of him smoking crack, like doing things with prostitutes,
things like that.
All that sort of stuff.
We're hidden under the depths.
But anyway, this is the news today, guys. The FBI has gathered enough evidence to charge Hunter Biden with tax crimes and making a false statement to buy a gun, according to the BBC's US partner, CBS News. President Joe Biden's son has been under federal investigation since 2018. The decision on whether to file criminal charges now rests with the US attorney in Delaware. A lawyer for Hunter said he had not been contacted by federal agents. He has repeatedly denied breaking the law. The US Department of Justice has declined to comment. Hunter Biden, 52, is a lawyer and lobbyist who has worked abroad, including in China and Ukraine. He was discharged from the US Navy in 2014 after testing positive for cocaine. According to the Washington Post, federal agents began investigating him in 2018 and initially centered on finances related to his overseas businesses and consulting. So he's been hiding his money, hasn't he? Over time, the investigation began to focus on whether Hunter properly reported his income and made false statements on paperwork used to purchase a firearm in 2018. In a book published last year, he had admitted to still being a very heavy user of crack cocaine at the time, but the Washington Post reports that he said no on a federal form asking if he was an unlawful user of or addicted to marijuana or any depressant, stimulant, narcotic, drug or any other controlled substance. So this is the son of the president, by the way, guys. He's into crack and he's into tax fraud, but they reckon they've got a case on him now. So the
smokes tack.
The FBI is actually after him now.
Actually, though.
Apparently, it's all over the world news today, and usually this is stuff that's been buried and not reported on the mainstream media. Now it's actually on the BBC and all that stuff.
That's good.
So the FBI is actually on his case.
Well, yeah, now, but if he gans doing, then Joe Biden will be doing with him.
Well, Joe Biden's apparently helping man, cover things up and all that.
He's in loads of the emails and that.
Aye. So I just thought I'd touch on that, but maybe that's a topic to blow the lid off next time.
Let's blow the lid off that next week.
Let's blow the lid off him next week,
What about anything happening on Coolio?
Actually, I've got a little video I've seen on the internet. I'll put in here, guys.
Oh, it's all coming out now.
The new segment that I'm going to do every day that I'm going to call I'm Cool on That. And I'm going to tell you what I'm cool on today. What I'm cool on today is when something is obviously wrong or you see something going on and then somebody brings it to your attention, right? And then you sit there and argue them down about how it's not true. I'm cool on that. For real. Because you know, some things are make-believe, some things are fictional, some things are fake. And some things we don't know about. But if something is obvious, whether you've done the research or not, if something is obvious, then why would you argue about it? Okay? Now y'all can go home and drink your Androchrome. I'm cool on that. Shaka Zulu, man.
So the last video he ever posted on his Instagram before he died, it was quite vague, but he's like saying about like, you do what you want to do, I'll do what I want to do, go away and have your adrenochrome and all that. So he
actually says adrenochrome?
So he's kind of like on the...
Do you reckon that's a real thing?
I don't know. If you don't know what adrenochrome is, apparently it's this thing where it's drawn from the blood of scared children or something. So, you know, like these apparent child traffickers in Hollywood and all that, all these like famous rich people who are apparently into it, take this adrenochrome, it's extracted from kids and then injected or something into people, or they drink it or something, and it makes them like look youthful and damn. I swore in that.
Did you?
Aye.
Is this classes in your episode?
Aye. I think it's already now, but it's later on the episode because anyone's probably watching it anyway.
Just me and you, tag.
I know. People have already logged off now, guys. But so the first thing was he said he was going to blow the lid off some high-profile music business child traffickers, and then that was his video when he started with adrenochrome. So we'll keep you updated as we find out more, guys.
Next week, we're going to blow the lid off Hunter Biden. And we're going to blow the lid off this adrenochrome. What do you reckon?
Aye. Wouldn't that get buried in YouTube even more, though?
I don't know.
Right now, this is your Knee Filter podcast, guys, so...
Aye, we don't need a filter.
Do you like what scarf for now?
Tune.
Black wine or me. Right, shall we wrap this one up then, guys?
Let's wrap it up and then we can get ourselves some tea.
I'm starving me. Nighttime episode, this one, isn't it, guys?
It's Friday night, guys.
Friday night, doing it right. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed the show, guys. Let me know in the comments if there's any other subjects you'd like to see or blow the lid off.
Aye. Definitely bring your safety goggles next week, because there's going to be lids flying all out, isn't it, Steve?
Oh, that's right.
Bring your goggles and your hats, your seatbelt. Buckle in.
All right.